Hello, and welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. In the spotlight tonight are Bryony Ashcroft, a digital content manager whose specialist subject is the bridges of London; Jackie Hunter, a writer and content editor who'll be answering questions on cheeses of the UK; Colin Wilson, sales executive, subject is Alex Higgins; and Jamie Hall, an assistant head teacher, his subject, the Weimar Republic. Tonight, 4 more courageous contenders begin the journey, which each of them hope will end up with them taking home the Great Glass Bowl and the Mastermind title. That's what is at stake. So, the rules: 2 minutes of questions on their specialist subject and then 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's get on with it and ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name is?
Bryony Ashcroft.
Your occupation?
Digital content manager.
And your chosen subject?
The bridges of London.
The bridges that cross the Thames as it courses through Greater London. Here we go. The first of London's suspension bridges across the Thames was designed by William Tierney Clark and opened in 1827. Which one?
Vauxhall Bridge.
Hammersmith Bridge. In the first 2 decades of the 19th century, a Scottish engineer designed the original Waterloo and Southwark bridges and a replacement for Old London Bridge that was completed after his death. What was his name?
John Rennie.
Yep. It's popularly said the nursery rhyme London Bridge is falling down derives from the bringing down of the bridge in 1014 by a future king of Norway allied to Ethelred the Unready. Who was this king?
Olaf.
Yes. Old Blackfriars Bridge, opened in 1769, was initially named after a leading politician of the time, but was given its current name soon afterwards. What was the original name of the bridge?
William Pitt.
Yeah. When Isambard Kingdom Brunel's Hungerford Bridge was partially demolished to make way for the railway bridge to Charing Cross, its chains were reused by the architect of the replacement bridge to complete Clifton Suspension Bridge. Who was the architect?
Pass.
2 days after it opened to the public in 2000, the Millennium Bridge had to be closed because it wobbled when people used it. Engineers thought the cause to be a phenomenon sometimes known as SLE. These letters stand for synchronous lateral
excitation.
Yes. Each end of Lambeth Bridge features obelisks designed by the architect Sir Reginald Blomfield, which are topped by finials. These are usually known by the name of which fruit?
Pineapple.
Yeah. Although the superstructure was removed in the mid-1980s, the columns of the original Blackfriars Railway Bridge can still be seen between Blackfriars Bridge and the current railway bridge. The original bridge was built by which railway company?
London, Chatham and Dover.
Yeah. The first railway bridge to a mainline terminus to cross the Thames was opened in 1860 to carry trains into Victoria Station. The present structure is sometimes still referred to by its original name, Victoria Railway Bridge, but is better known by what other name?
Grosvenor?
Yeah. The County Hall side of Westminster Bridge is adorned by a statue of a lion made from an artificial stone manufactured by a company once based nearby. What's the name of that type of stone?
Codestone?
Yes. The A316 crosses the Thames twice, both times on bridges for which Alfred Dryland was the head engineer. One is Twickenham Bridge. What's the other?
Kew?
Chiswick. You had just one pass, Bryony. The architect of the replacement bridge to complete Clifton Suspension Bridge was Sir John Hawkshaw. Yep. You have scored, though, 8 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Jackie Hunter.
Your occupation?
Writer and content editor.
And your chosen subject?
Cheeses of the UK.
Cheeses of the UK in 2 minutes. Here we go. Crowdie is a fresh cheese made with skim milk and often coated with oatmeal and black pepper. It originates from one of the home nations of the UK. Which one?
Scotland.
Yep. In the 1720s, which cheese did Daniel Defoe refer to as our English Parmesan? He wrote that it's served with mites or maggots around it, so thick that they bring a spoon with them for you to eat the mites with, as you do the cheese.
Stilton.
Yes. Which cheese wrapped in nettle leaves was created in the 1980s by 2 cheesemakers in Cornwall who revived a 17th century recipe? Its name is the couple's surname spelled backwards.
Yarg.
Yeah. What was the name of the former army major who opened a cheese shop in Streatley in Berkshire in 1953 and was a leading figure in the British farmhouse cheese industry? He wrote the Great British Cheese Book in 1982.
Patrick Rance.
Yep. In 1982, a new soft blue cheese developed by the Milk Marketing Board was launched in the UK, only to be withdrawn 10 years later. It was exported under the name Westminster Blue, but was known in the UK by a different name. What name?
Limeswold.
Yep. Which cheese created by Carrie Rhymes is made from sheep's milk and takes its name from the Welsh for little bleat?
Pass.
What's the name of the pressing process used to make hard cheeses in which slabs of curd are stacked on top of each other and turned frequently? Its name comes from that of an English cheese made with this technique.
Cheddaring.
Yeah. The British Cheese Awards were first held in 1994. The awards were established by a noted cheese expert. What's her name?
Juliet Harbut.
Yep. Which coaching inn in the village of Stilton is widely credited with popularising Stilton cheese? In the 18th century, the inn was owned by Cooper Thornhill and it sold the cheese to people travelling the Great North Road.
Bell Inn.
Yes. What was the name of the businessman who saved the Wensleydale Creamery from closure in the 1930s? He was awarded an MBE in 1977 and has a variety of Wensleydale named after him.
Pass.
What mould-ripened cheese made in Hampshire by Stacey Hedges and named after a local village was once described by Raymond Blanc as the best camembert in the world?
Tunworth.
Yep. Which blue cheese made in Dorset gets its name from an Old English word for mould? It was awarded Protected Geographical Indication status in 1998.
Wigmore.
No, Vinnie. Dorset Blue Vinnie. Yeah. 2 passes. The name of that businessman who saved Wensleydale Creamery was Kit Calvert. And the cheese created by Carrie Rhymes takes its name from the Welsh for little bleat, Brefu Bach. So there you go, but you have 9 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Colin Wilson,
Your occupation?
Sales Executive.
And your chosen subject?
Alex Higgins.
A Northern Irish snooker player nicknamed Hurricane because of his speed around the table. Here we go. Before he settled on snooker, the 15-year-old Alex Higgins moved from his native Belfast to Berkshire to try to make a career in a different sport. Which sport?
Horse racing.
Yeah, Higgins won his first world championship on his initial attempt in 1972 and became the youngest winner of the tournament when he defeated John Spencer in the final. Which veteran player did he beat 31-30 in the semi-final?
Williams.
Rex Williams. Yep. Higgins reached the final of the World Championship again in 1976, but was unable to stop Ray Reardon winning a 4th consecutive title. What was the score?
27-16.
Yep. What's the title of Higgins' 1986 autobiography, ghostwritten by Tony Francis? In it, he begins to detail his struggles with alcoholism and gambling addiction.
I'm No Angel.
Alex Through the Looking Glass. In 1968, Higgins won the Northern Irish Amateur title and later the same year won the All-Ireland Amateur Snooker Championship, in which he beat a well-regarded Dubliner in the final. What was his name?
Jackie Day.
Jerry Hanway. Which actor friend, a fellow heavy drinker and gambler, gave Higgins the nickname Hig the Pig? In one incident, they incited each other to drink perfume and washing up liquid. In one of his first public appearances after cancer surgery, Higgins attended his funeral in 1999. Who was he?
Oliver Reed.
Right. On his way to the Crucible title in 1982, Higgins made a celebrated clearance in the penultimate frame against Jimmy White to come back from the brink of defeat in his semi-final. It's considered one of the greatest breaks of his career. How many points was it?
69.
Yep, Higgins, together with fellow players Jimmy White, Tony Knowles and Kirk Stevens, recorded a cover version of the song The Wanderer, which was released in 1986 but enjoyed limited success. What 2-word group name did they give themselves on the record release?
Status Quo.
4 away. At which tournament in 1989 did Higgins beat Stephen Hendry 9-8 in the final? He had recently broken his ankle and had to limp around the table.
Irish Masters.
Yep, in the early 2000s, which actor played Higgins in Hurricane, the one-man play based on his life? Higgins attended the premiere in Belfast and gave his approval.
Richard Dormer.
Yep. Which on-off girlfriend did Higgins describe with the words, "She's a psychologist and I know I'm probably a perfect case study for her"?
Siobhan Kidd.
Is correct. No passes, Colin. 8 points. And our final contender, please. And your name is?
Jamie Hall,
Your occupation?
assistant head teacher,
And your chosen subject?
the Weimar Republic.
Period of democracy and cultural change in Germany between the First World War and 1933. Here we go. On November the 9th, 1918, Kaiser Wilhelm II abdicated and a German republic was proclaimed. What was the name of the Prince of Baden who'd announced the Kaiser's abdication?
Max,
Yeah. Which politician was killed by right-wing extremists on August 26, 1921, while he was on holiday in the Black Forest? He'd been a signatory of the 1918 armistice.
Rathenau,
No, Erzberger. In 1922, Germany and the Soviet Union agreed a treaty of friendship. What was the name of the treaty?
Rapallo.
Yep. In January 1923, a dispute over the payment of war reparations owed by Germany under the Treaty of Versailles led to the occupation of an industrial region of Germany by French and Belgian troops. Which region?
Ruhr.
Yep. Which architect designed the Einstein Tower in Potsdam, a notable example of German expressionism completed in the early 1920s? His other works include department stores built for the Schocken Company in Stuttgart and Chemnitz.
Mendelssohn.
Yep. In late 1923, a new bank was set up to tackle Germany's hyperinflation crisis, and it issued a new currency, 1 unit of which was exchangeable for 1 trillion of the old marks. What was the name of the bank?
Rentenbank.
Yeah. What was the name of the field marshal who was elected president of Germany in 1925 and re-elected in 1932?
Hindenburg.
Yep. Although he was tried for treason after the 1923 Munich beer hall putsch, Adolf Hitler was sentenced to only 5 years of imprisonment, eventually served less than a year of his term in which prison?
Landsberg.
Yeah. Hitler became chancellor in January 1933, and on March 23rd of that year, the Reichstag voted to pass the Enabling Act, a law that gave him dictatorial powers. The vote took place in a building in Berlin, which had become the new meeting place of the assembly after the Reichstag fire. Which building?
Kroll. Opera House.
Yep. In March 1931, a plan was announced for Germany to form a customs union with another country, but it was abandoned after a banking crisis only a few months later. Which country?
Austria.
Yep. Who succeeded Heinrich Brüning as Chancellor in 1932? His administration lifted the ban on the Nazi Sturmabteilung, or SA, and suspended the state government of Prussia.
Von Papen.
Von Papen is correct. You had no passes, Jamie. You've scored 10 points. Well, a very close round that was. Let's have a look at all the scores. In joint third place, 8 points apiece, Bryony and Colin. Second place, 9 points, Jackie. First place, 10 points, Jamie. So now it is the general knowledge round, and if there is a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, there has to be a tie break. So let's ask Bryony to join us again. And you start out, Bryony, with 8 points. Let's see how you do with your general knowledge. 2.5 minutes. Here we go. Mother's ruin is an informal term for what alcoholic drink?
Gin.
Yep. In computing, the resolution of an image on screen is often expressed as a number followed by the letters DPI. What do they stand for?
Pass.
A chart-topping American singer married her childhood friend Jason Alexander in Las Vegas in 2004, only for the marriage to be annulled just 55 hours later. What's the name of the bride?
Britney Spears.
Yeah, a Brahmin or Brahmin is a member of the highest or priestly caste in which major religion?
Hindu.
Yep. In 2020, Scarlett Johansson was nominated for a Best Supporting Actress Oscar for her role as a mother who hides a Jewish girl from the Nazis during the Second World War. In what film?
Girl with a pearl earring.
Jojo Rabbit, a type of shallow dish typically used in laboratories to grow cultures of microorganisms, is named after the German bacteriologist who invented it. What was his surname?
Petri.
Yeah. In 1999, Bertrand Piccard and Brian Jones took just under 20 days to complete a non-stop circumnavigation of the globe in the Breitling Orbiter 3. What form of transport was it?
Hot air balloon.
Yeah. Which American trade union leader served as president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters from 1957 to 71?
Reagan.
Jimmy Hoffa. Which playwright won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay for co-writing the script for the 1998 film Shakespeare in Love with Mark Norman?
Pass.
In music notation, a symbol on the left side of a stave used to indicate the pitch of the notes that follow is known by a name that comes from the French word for key. What's the name for the symbol?
Clef.
Yep. Which Scottish singer has had UK top 10 singles entitled Grace, Bruises and Hold Me While You Wait? He won the Best New Artist category at the 2020 Brit Awards.
Jamie McCullen.
Lewis Capaldi. The CBI is a non-profit organisation that represents businesses in the UK. What do the letters CBI stand for?
Pass.
Which American senator and 2008 presidential candidate was shot down over Hanoi during the Vietnam War and spent 6 years as a prisoner of war?
John McCain.
Yeah. The name of the ancient region of Mesopotamia comes from the Greek for between rivers because it sits between two important rivers. One is the Tigris, the other...
Euphrates.
Yes. Which American entertainer born in Texas in 1907 was known as the Singing Cowboy? He appeared in numerous Western films from the 1930s to the 50s with a horse called Champion.
Woody Guthrie.
Jean Autry. The Baroque-style Nymphenburg Palace was built as the summer residence of the rulers of Bavaria. It's on the western outskirts of which city?
Munich.
Is correct. You had 3 passes, Bryony. CBI, Confederation of British Industry. Sir Tom Stoppard wrote Shakespeare in Love, or rather the script for the 1998 film. And DPI stands for dots per inch. You have now 17 points. And now, Colin again, please. And Colin, you start out with 8 points. As you have just heard, the score to beat at the moment anyway is 17. 2.5 minutes of general knowledge starting now. The 3 birds named in the highway code to identify different types of pedestrian crossings are the puffin, the toucan, and a large water bird noted for its long bill with a pouch beneath it. What is it?
Pelican.
Yep. A well-known philanthropic foundation was established in Seattle in 2000 by a billionaire couple named Bill and Melinda. Their surname?
Gates.
Yep. What's the name for the movable part of a helmet that could be pulled down to cover the face or eyes? It comes from an old French word for face.
Visor.
Yep. In seismology, the point on the Earth's surface directly above the origin or focus of an earthquake is usually known by what name?
Focal.
Epicenter. In a 1624 work, which metaphysical poet and sometime Dean of St. Paul's Cathedral wrote the lines, "And therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls,
John
it
Donne.
tolls for thee."
John Donne.
Yes. What's the term for a quantity of paper, normally 25 sheets, that's equal to 1/20th of a ream?
Crown.
Choir. The racing driver Rio Haryanto became the first person from his country to compete in a Formula One race when he took part in the 2016 Australian Grand Prix. Which country is he from?
Venezuela.
Indonesia. In Roman numerals, what number is denoted by the letter D?
500.
Yes. What term refers to the period of time that elapses between an individual's exposure to a disease and the first appearance of its symptoms?
Diagnosis.
Incubation. In the 1902 play The Admirable Crichton, an aristocratic family is shipwrecked on a desert island with their butler and maid. Who wrote the play?
J.M. Barrie.
Yep. In the titles of the movements of the orchestral suite The Planets by Gustav Holst, one of the planets is referred to as the bringer of peace. Which planet?
Neptune.
Venus. A Channel 4 factual series which ran from 1994 to 2014 was presented by Tony Robinson and followed groups of archaeologists as they carried out digs at different historical sites, mainly around Britain. What's its title?
Time Team.
Yep. Which Belgian city and major seaport in the Flanders region is considered to be the international centre of the diamond industry?
Antwerp.
Yep. What Italian term is used in English to refer to a common language used by speakers of different languages in order to communicate?
Anglophile.
Lingua franca. A 1963 film set during the Second World War features characters who are credited with names such as the Cooler King, Tunnel King, and Big X. What film?
Great Escape.
Yep. The 11th century Spanish military leader, Rodrigo Diaz de Viva, is sometimes called El Campeador, or the champion, but is more commonly known by a name derived from the Arabic for Lord. What name?
El Cid.
Yes. Why did the Apostrophe Protection Society not have a militant wing? Could I start one? Where do you get balaclavas? So wrote the author of the 2003 book, Eat, Shoots and Leaves, the zero-tolerance approach to punctuation. What's her name?
Lynn Truss.
Lynn Truss is correct. No passes, Colin. You have 19 points. And now Jackie again, please. And Jackie, you start out with 9 points, and the score to beat is being ratcheted up. It is now 19. Here we go. What slang term for a judge or magistrate is also an alternative word for a bird's bill?
Beak.
Yep. In the New Testament book of Revelation, death, famine, pestilence, and war are personified as riders on horses of differing colours. They're usually known as the 4 horsemen of the...
Apocalypse.
Yep. In 2015, the footballer Carly Lloyd won the FIFA Women's World Player of the Year award after she became the first woman to score a hat-trick in a World Cup final. She was playing for which country?
Wales.
The United States. Moro, Tarocco, and Sanguinello are the 3 main varieties of a type of orange named for its deep red flesh and juice. What type of orange?
Blood orange.
Yep. An 18th century painting entitled Horse Frightened by a Lion in the collection of the Tate is one of several similar paintings in a series by which British artist?
Stubbs.
Yep. The pre-decimal coin known as the sixpence or tanner remained in circulation until 1980. After decimalisation, it was worth how many new pence?
2.5.
Yes. In February 2020, Victoria Newton succeeded Tony Gallagher as the editor-in-chief of a British daily newspaper. Which one?
The sun.
Yes, RICE and PRICE are acronyms for the recommended elements of treatment for soft tissue injuries. In each case, the letter E stands for what word?
Elevate.
Yes. Words often translated as the libertine punished form part of the full title of a 1787 opera by Mozart. Which opera?
School for Scandal.
Don Giovanni. The 1941 children's novel The Twins at St. Clair's, subtitled A School Story for Girls, was the first in a series set in an English boarding school by a prolific British author. What was her name?
Enid Blyton.
Yep. Russian giant is a variety of the flowering plant Helianthus annuus that typically grows to more than 10 feet tall. Which plant?
Sunflower.
Yep. A soft white powder widely used in skincare and baby care as a form of magnesium silicate, but is better known by what other name?
Talc.
Yeah, talcum powder. In 2017, the Ethiopian politician Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus succeeded Margaret Chan as Director General of what agency of the United Nations?
Pass.
Which American golfer won the 2020 US PGA Championship at the age of just 23?
Pass.
A 2013 film based on a true story stars Judi Dench as a mother who's helped by a journalist, played by Steve Coogan, to track down the son she gave up for adoption when she was a teenager. What film?
Philomena.
Yeah. Which English city in the East Midlands has a university named after the 13th century nobleman Simon de Montfort?
Milton Keynes.
Leicester. A 2019 television series, I've started, so I'll finish, which stars David Tennant as a demon and Michael Sheen as an angel, is an adaptation of a comic fantasy novel by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. What's the title of the series?
The Good Place.
Good Omens. Two passes. The American golfer who won the championship at the age of 23 was Colin Morikawa. And Tedros Ghebreyesus succeeded Margaret Chan as Director General of the World Health Organization. You have, Jackie, 20 points. And finally, Jamie, please. Well, as you have noticed, Jamie, the score has been creeping up. The score to beat, that is. It is now 20. You start out with 10. Here are your general knowledge questions to see whether you can get through to the semi-finals. Here we go. What is the usual name for a train that covers a long-distance journey overnight and provides beds for passengers?
A sleeper.
Yep. What three-letter palindrome is a word for a hairstyle in which the hair is typically the same length all the way round except for the front?
Basin.
Bob. The name of a fashion label and luggage manufacturer established in Paris in 1854 is often abbreviated to the letters LV, the initials of its founder, which are also found in the monogram on many of its products. What name do the initials stand for?
Louis Vuitton.
Yep. The Heath test, named after the physician who devised it, was once widely used to test whether a person had immunity to what disease?
Scarlet fever.
Tuberculosis. A 2010 film and its 2013 sequel, both based on fantasy novels by Rick Riordan, star Logan Lerman as the title character, a teenager who discovers that he's the son of a Greek god. What's the character's name?
Will Self.
Percy Jackson. What French word for a small pickled cucumber translates as little horn?
Gherkin.
Cornichon. The 2011 book Behind the Black Door is a memoir by a businesswoman and charity campaigner about life at 10 Downing Street with her husband, Gordon Brown. What's her first name?
Sarah.
Yeah. What we talk about when we talk about love is a 1981 collection of short stories by which American author?
Murakami.
No, Raymond Carver. What name from the Tamil for a roll of tobacco is given to a cigar that is cut square at both ends?
Square cigar.
Cheroot. Which ancient Greek city, described by Cicero as the greatest of the Greek cities and the most beautiful of all, was located on the east coast of Sicily and on the small island of Ortygia?
Syracuse.
Yeah. Which broadcaster began presenting the Radio 4 series In Our Time in 1998? He was appointed to the House of Lords earlier the same year.
Melvin Bragg.
Yep. A type of ballroom dance in triple time performed by couples who spin around as they progress around the floor has a name derived from a German word that means to roll or to revolve. What dance?
Waltz.
Yep. What name is given in cricket to a batsman who is put in to see out the rest of the day's play in order to save a more recognised player for the following day's session?
Caretaker.
Night Watchman. The singer and guitarist Matt Bellamy is a founder member of a British band whose UK #1 albums include Absolution in 2003 and Black Holes and Revelations in 2006. Which band?
Muse.
Yes. The Texel, originally from the Netherlands, and the Beltex, developed in Belgium, are breeds of which farm animal?
Cow.
Sheep. Which actor and presenter hosted the television quiz show Sale of the Century in the 1970s. He also chaired the radio panel game Just a Minute for more than 50 years until shortly before his death at the age of 96 in 2020.
Nicholas Parsons.
Is correct. No passes, Jamie. 18 points. What a good close contest. Let's have a look at the final scores. In fourth place with 17 points, Bryony. Third place with 18 points, Jamie. Second place with 19 points, Colin. First place with 20 points, Jackie. Which means, of course, that she goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to her. And if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
When I got to take my place in the black chair, the nerves disappeared. All I can focus on is John Humphrys' face and his voice. And the studying paid off. It all came back to me very clearly, I'm pleased to say.
And your chosen subject?
Cheeses of the UK. I love cheese. I work very close to Borough Market, which is a real hub for cheese lovers. From one single ingredient, milk, there's an incredible variety of cheeses that come out of it, and it's a really fascinating subject.
In 1982, a new soft blue cheese was launched in the UK, only to be withdrawn 10 years later. It was exported under the name Westminster Blue, but was known in the UK by a different name. What name?
Limeswold.
Yep.
If you have a subject you love and enjoy reading about, then it can only go well for you.
You have 9 points.
I applied for Mastermind because it's a quiz show that I had watched with my family, with my parents and my siblings. And this year was the year I thought, I'm going to give it a go. And I got a place, and here I am. Just before filming today, my co-contender, Colin, told me that this is his 4th time as a contender on Mastermind, and he's been a semi-finalist before. I really thought that he'd have a home advantage, as they say. So I'm surprised and delighted to win this heat.